Hello, my dear soul brothers and sisters. You didn't click on in this video by means of coincidence. No, this is a second of divine synchronicity. It's because you went through it all. They harm you and even had the audacity to play victims. However, listen cautiously, selected ones. God saw the entirety. He witnessed the betrayal, the lies, the schemes they used to show records of their choose. They notion they could get away with it, but God had already warned them to leave you on my own, and now the outcomes are coming. This message is urgent due to the fact justice is coming, or even if they may be still looking to play victims, God already is aware of the truth. They set you up, spread lies, and did everything to spoil your reputation. It wasn't just small rumors. They went out in their way to make you look like the villain. They dragged your name via the dust, seeking to tarnish everything you labored for. They desired human beings to study you otherwise, to peer you as someone who could not be depended on. They went thus far as to try and legally incriminate you, hoping to mark you with an everlasting stain of shame and guilt. However, they did not forestall there. Further to attacking his reputation, they centered every issue of his lifestyles. They tried to poison your relationships with others by whispering lies into the ears of humans you depended on. Their plan changed into to isolate you, make you feel completely alone and trapped. They wanted you to doubt yourself, to impeach the entirety you believed in. They knew that by means of dragging his name through the dust, they may make others query his integrity, and this is precisely what they did, spreading rumors that hurt him deeply, aiming at once at his coronary heart. But bear in mind, selected ones. Regardless of how deep their deception, the truth constantly unearths a manner to surface. In their attempts to destroy you, they discovered more approximately themselves. The equal lies they instructed about you're certainly a mirrored image of their man or woman. They notion their plans have been foolproof. But what they did not realize is that each seed of deception planted most effective grew to their very own downfall. They underestimated their energy, and more importantly, they underestimated God's protection over their lives. After all of the dirty deeds, they flipped the script. It is like watching someone start a fire, after which act like they are the sufferer of the flames. However, selected ones, right here is the truth. God saw through all of the deception. Even if they convinced others that they were harmless, God knew their hearts. They were masters of manipulation. Every circulate changed into calculated, no longer best to harm you, however to put themselves as sufferers. They painted a photograph of themselves as the wronged, putting themselves in a sympathetic light. In their model, they had been those who suffered, the ones who have been wronged, and for some time, it may have even worked. People believed them, and you had been left with the ruins of your reputation, which they tried to break. But God doesn't simply see movements, He sees the intentions. Even as they pretended to be victims to the arena, God knew exactly who changed into accountable for the ache and chaos. He has visible via the facade and isn't fooled via their video games. It is able to have regarded like they had been getting away with it. But agree with me, the scales of justice are tipping in their want. Their mask is coming off, and soon every person will see who they sincerely are. At the same time as others believed the lies and deceptions, God knew the truth. He saw through the charade and witnessed every act of betrayal. You could have felt remoted and deserted as people turned towards you, but God in no way left you. He became there, watching and documenting every injustice done to you. And, at the same time as they concept they might escape with it, God's eyes were continually upon them. Every tear you shed, every silent prayer, He heard it all. And here's the point. God doesn't watch passively. He is a God of justice, and while He sees His chosen ones being attacked, He acts. It is able to have appeared such as you have been on my own within the hurricane, However, God became already getting ready the entirety behind the curtain. What you notion became a silent phase, become really a time of practice. God became making ready the way to expose each lie, to reverse each fake narrative, and to make you come out stronger than before. Inside the quiet moments, when you wondered if a person was on your facet, God changed into at work. He became placing people in his existence who would see through the lies, who might be by using his side when the reality came out. His enemies' idea they have been clever, but they forgot that nothing escapes God's gaze. He has visible all of it, and now it is handiest to be counted of time before his divine justice is discovered. Their attacks were not random. They were calculated, fueled by means of pure spite and envy. They saw his light, his capability, and it scared them. They couldn't stand the greatness you deliver inside you. In preference to working on themselves, they focused their electricity on trying to turn off their light. Envy is a powerful pressure, and once they found out they could not compete with your spirit, they attempted to carry you down. It wasn't about what you probably did incorrect. It was about their insecurities. The reality is, they envied everything you stood for: your strength, your resilience, your unshakable faith. You failed to have to fake to be a person you were not, and that threatened them. They couldn't bear to look you prevail, to look you triumph over the limitations they tried to vicinity on you. Every time you moved ahead, it turned into a reminder to them in their own flaws, and as opposed to dealing with their own imperfections, they selected to assault you. Their envy turned into only a reflection in their personal inner sickness. They hated you because your spirit made them uncomfortable. Your light uncovered their darkness, and that they could not deal with it. They couldn't apprehend why, no matter all their efforts to convey you down, you continued to rise up. Envy blinded them to the reality that your greatness became a divine gift, something they could by no means take from you. They idea they could place out his flame, but in trying to accomplish that, they handiest made it shine even brighter. In their twisted minds, they believed they had been untouchable, that they could do something they wanted, and that no person might ever see through their schemes. They acted in secret, assured that nobody could see their true nature. They even conceived that God himself might not be aware their wicked acts. But trust me, God loses nothing, in particular on the subject of his chosen ones. There is no manner to cover. They concept they have been above reproach, but this conceitedness was their undoing. They reveled in a fake experience of electricity, believing they might manipulate situations and those to their benefit without going through effects. They looked at you with disdain, questioning they could misinform both you and God. This conceitedness blinded them, making them assume they had been resistant to duty, but selected, by no means neglect. God humbles the proud. They will have felt invincible for some time, but now truth is crashing down on them. That fake sense of superiority has crumbled, and the identical folks that once walked with their heads held excessive in arrogance now battle to preserve up appearances. They concept they could cover their lies all the time, but God has a manner of pulling back the curtain that covers the reality. The time has come for them to face the reality, and they are beginning to realize that no quantity of pleasure can defend them from the results in their movements. Now that the masks have fallen, it's your flip to rise up. The obsidian inner circle, powered with the aid of the astral atom, is the distance where the actual chosen ones acquire to conquer illusions, even as they warfare to maintain up appearances. We're coming into a realm of fact and unshakable electricity. No pretense, no fake superiority. Here, authenticity reigns. At Inner Circle, you may no longer most effective watch the reality unfold. You'll be equipped to create your personal future, free from the lies that when held, you lower back. They will be falling apart, but you are growing, more potent than ever. At Internal Circle, we don't just talk approximately change, we live that change. With one-of-a-kind insights, uncensored content, and effective manifestation strategies you may not find everywhere else, this area is not for folks that still cling to delight and falsehood. It's miles for the selected ones who see beyond the surface and are equipped to embrace their divine calling. Be part of us, and collectively, we will upward push higher than they ever thought possible. The hyperlink is within the description. If you are ready to embody your reality and leave illusions behind, be a part of the internal circle nowadays. We are watching for you, messing with you, one and all God's selected ones, turned into their biggest mistake. They're beginning to experience the weight of their moves. Plans are falling aside, and they're knowing that what they did to you is coming back against them. What they thought they may do with impunity is becoming their worst nightmare. The tables have turned, and they are starting to see the effects of their actions unfold before their eyes. The rude awakening has arrived and is coming in waves. The identical schemes they devised are unraveling, and the web of deceit is collapsing. Humans are beginning to see via their lies, and the aid they had is disappearing. What they once counted on, manipulation, deceit, and arrogance, is now the purpose in their downfall. They may be dropping the control they notioned they'd, and the arena around them is now not diluted. Their lives are now marked by way of the chaos they tried to impose on you. What they deliberate for their destruction became the supply in their own suffering. This rude awakening isn't always pretty much the effects they're going through. It's about the conclusion that they messed with a person who's divinely covered. They have awakened to the reality that one can't fight against God's chosen ones and emerge unscathed. These human beings might also have notion they escaped the results, but now their minds are conflicted. They cannot sleep at night, constantly reliving their very own actions of their heads. What they did to you haunts them. They're suffering with mental torment, dealing with their very own internal demons. Guilt consumes them, and regardless of how a good deal they try to distract themselves, they cannot get away the load that persists. They notion they have been unfastened, but now their judgment of right and wrong has emerged as their prison. The mental pain they enjoy is the direct result in their betrayal. Every lie instructed, every time they distorted the truth, is coming lower back to them in approaches they by no means imagined. They will have hidden their movements from others, but they can't cover it from themselves. Their conscience is relentless, reminding them of the ache they've caused. The greater they are attempting to suppress it, the louder it resonates. They're trapped of their own minds, unable to break out the results of their alternatives. The idea they could cross on with their lives as though not anything had happened, but their moves hang out them. Guilt has become a regular accomplice, following them wherever they pass. They'll try to preserve a brave facade in public, but in the back of closed doors, they may be falling apart. Every sleepless night, each second of regret is a reminder that they can't break out the non-secular and emotional weight of what they did to a chosen one. Their movements left them spiritually stagnant. The idea they might damage you and nonetheless prosper, however, that's not how it works. God will now not permit them to prosper spiritually because of their wickedness. They're caught in a cycle of stagnation. Each time they attempted to take you down, they had been constructing their very own spiritual prison. Now, even as you develop and prosper, they're left at the back of, unable to transport forward. This stagnation is going past the spiritual. It influences all regions in their lives. Your relationships are weakening, your aims are stalled, and the as soon as clear path is now clouded. They may be frustrated, questioning why not anything seems to paintings, but the solution is straightforward. You cannot plant seeds of destruction and expect to reap benefits. Your non-secular and private lives are paralyzed, trapped, as a direct outcome of your evil actions. What they don't realize is this stagnation is a shape of divine justice. God has blocked each path of progress till they confront what they have completed. While you are ascending, they stay within the identical region. looking you grow at the same time as they stay trapped. They notioned they were building their very own achievement. However, in fact, they had been constructing partitions around themselves, imprisoning themselves in a jail of religious and emotional stagnation. What they thought they could break out now comes back to them with a vengeance. Each lie, each betrayal, is coming full circle. They are dealing with the results of their movements within the shape of illness, financial break, and deep remorse. Karma would not leave out any info. Once they turned towards God's selected, they organized their personal catastrophe. Now they live inside the chaos they created, and there's no manner out till they absolutely face their karma. The karmic retribution they face isn't always only a passing punishment. It is a total crumbling of the whole thing they once valued. Your finances are crumbling, opportunities are slipping from your palms, and relationships are deteriorating. Whenever they attempted to damage you, they unknowingly planted seeds of their very own destruction. Karma has a manner of manifesting itself in areas where they idea they have been safe, hitting them in which it hurts most. They concept they could control their own destiny, but now they comprehend that each action has the effect. The karmic wheel is popping and it won't forestall until they face the entire weight in their picks. They wanted to wreck you, however, ultimately, they destroyed themselves. As a delegated one, you are protected by divine power. They notion they may spoil you, but they did not understand that with the aid of turning in opposition to you, they had been turning in opposition to God Himself. God positioned His hand of protection over your lifestyles, and no matter how tough they attempted, they may never simply harm you. Yes, they prompted some ache, but they could not damage you. God's protection shielded you out of your worst intentions. From the start, God positioned His angels around you, shielding you from their attacks. What they intended for evil, God turned into something exact. Even in the moments when you felt vulnerable, God was strengthening you behind the curtain. Every attempt to take you down simplest bolstered the protecting walls around you. They failed to recognize that by means of attacking you, they have been combating a dropping war from the beginning. God's protection no longer handiest covers your physical frame, however also your spirit, your mind, and your reason. They attempted to interrupt your spirit, but you emerged more potent. They tried to shake their faith, however their religion most effective deepened. Every blow they introduced became absorbed with the aid of the divine armor that God positioned round them. You are untouchable, not by means of your personal energy, but by means of the strength of the one who fights for you. God's justice can also seem slow to us, but it's miles certain. Individuals who attempted to damage you are already feeling the burden of their movements and cannot escape. They will have played the victim for some time, but the truth continually comes out. God's judgment is final, and they may no longer be able to break out it. What they did inside the shadows might be introduced to mild, and they should face the effects of their actions. They idea they could manage things to get away responsibility, but God's judgment would not work like that. He does no longer forget and does not forget about the harm achieved to His chosen ones. Every scheme, each lie, each act of betrayal is being weighed, and God's justice is already in motion. Even though they had been able to mislead others, they cannot mislead God. His judgment is both quick and eternal. The splendor of God's justice is in its fairness. They will get hold of precisely what they deserve, no greater, no much less. There's no breakout from this. There is no negotiation. God's judgment is inevitable, and they're already starting to sense the consequences. What they thought they might keep away from is now catching up with them. Although they are trying to hold their charade, the reality usually comes out in the end. God's justice can't be circumvented. Even as they face the consequences of their very own moves, you're in a place of peace. God eliminated them from His existence for a cause. He noticed the evil in their hearts and removed them from His root. Now, while they're caught of their personal mess, you're growing up. You have been lifted up, and your coronary heart, which has remained pure through all of it, has led you to a place of divine choose. God has granted you peace, and also you not need to fear about folks who attempted to harm you. His peace is an affidavit to God's faithfulness. Even inside the midst of the hurricane, He gave you a calm that surpasses all understanding. While they're stricken by their own movements, you relaxation in the information that God has the whole lot below control. You not should bring the burden of their betrayal. God has lifted that burden from you, and now you're free to focus for your purpose, your increase, and your future. God's peace isn't restricted to the absence of conflicts, however, to the presence of His divine want on your life. You are rising, selected one, because you remained faithful, because you probably did not allow their actions to corrupt your coronary heart. God is lifting you to new heights, granting you desire and benefits that they could never touch. Their peace is a reflection in their victory, a victory that was written earlier than they even started their attacks. You are shining brighter than ever. At the same time as they may be caught within the results in their moves, you are thriving. They notion they may smash you, but all they did become make you stronger. You're more spiritually aligned, greater powerful, and extra centered than ever earlier then. The assaults they dispatched only multiplied you to new heights. Your brilliance, your energy, are plain now. His boom is a direct result of the challenges He faced. What they intended to apply to interrupt you, God used to strengthen you. Every fight, every betrayal, formed you into the person you're these days, more potent, wiser, and more linked to your cause. They notion they may dim its light, however all they did turned into growth its brightness. Now, as they watch from afar, they're witnessing exactly what they feared, the fullness of His greatness. Your working example that no weapon shaped towards you may prosper. Their attempts to ruin you simplest highlighted your resilience. You're shining brighter because you have not allowed their moves to define who you are. You have got conquer their negativity and now walk within the light of your reason. Your elevation isn't just physical, but religious. You are on foot in a higher realm, guided through God's divine plan in your existence. Let go of the negativity they tried to impose on you. Their evil deeds are now not a burden you want to hold. God has already looked after the whole thing, and now you are loose. Go away in the back of the ache, anger, and bitterness, and retain to rise. Your future is simply too brilliant to be burdened by the means of their darkness. Flow forward for your motive without being harmed through their evil. Forgiving does no longer mean forgetting what they did, but as an alternative, freeing yourself from the hold their actions had on you. By using letting pass of the beyond, you aren't excusing their behavior. However, selecting to transport ahead without the weight of their movements dragging you down. You have higher matters to consciousness on now. Chosen one. Your growth, your motive, and your calling are too critical to be confined with the aid of the bitterness of the past. As you launch the beyond, you will discover your upliftment accelerating. The more you launch, the better you upward thrust. God has already looked after His enemies. There's no want to be able to deliver their negativity with you. The past is over, and your future is packed with divine favor, blessings, and boom. Hold, shifting forward, trusting that God has already cleared your direction. You remained trustworthy even within the face in their wickedness. And now, God is profitable you. His righteousness inside the face of adversity did no longer move, omitted. God is lifting you up, blessing you, and granting you desire. What they supposed to bring you down, God used to elevate you up even extra. Their movements have best propelled you forward, and now you are reaping the rewards for staying authentic on your course. God's rewards for your faithfulness are ample. Every assignment you faced, each trial you endured, changed into met with divine advantages. You kept your religion, and now God is honoring that faith with abundance. Abundance of peace, abundance of opportunity, and abundance of spiritual increase. The equal matters they attempted to take from you, God is restoring tenfold. Your faithfulness opened doors that nobody can close. God's prefer is upon you, and the rewards of your perseverance are evident in every place of your lifestyles. You're living the manifestation of God's guarantees, and the exceptional is but to come back. Preserve strolling in religion, for God's rewards are far extra than everything they attempted to scouse borrow from you. Chosen ones, by no means doubt the justice of God. They'll have tried to play the victim. However, God has seen all of it and could make certain that you rise up at the same time as they face the outcomes of their evil actions. Their victory is already written, and their downfall is inevitable. Agree with in God's timing and recognize that as you still upward thrust, they'll keep to fall. Preserve your coronary heart natural, recognition on your route, and watch how God actions for your behalf.